Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me, ladies and gentlemen, and if this is working. Because this is a new setup, new computer, and everything, so let me know. Actually, I'll check my phone right now. Yvette, thank you. Quantum Football, thank you. To my super chat, I can't do this without you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for your support. And let me know if this is working all right. I had some problems with OBS, and it was just a new computer. It's a new computer I'm using right now in a new setup. And all right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. Eric, Luke, thank you so much. Everybody here. We have a lot to talk about, and I just want to read you the latest on the Alec Baldwin saga. Now, I don't know how this man gets to withhold information from the sheriffs in Santa Fe, but apparently he's doing so. So I don't know how he's doing so. Makes no sense since there was a search warrant. So there was a search warrant for his cell phone and everything within the cell phone. So hit subscribe, by the way, if you're watching in the Can you hear me now, ladies and gentlemen? Can you hear me now? Sorry for this. I apologize. I apologize. My God. If you stayed this long, I don't even know if I'm on. Let me know if I'm on. Okay, can you hear me? You stayed this long. You deserve like a medal. I just want to thank you so very, very much. Yvette, thank you so very much. Quantum Football, thank you so very much. What happened was I gotta go through this. Okay, so what happened was so anyway, sorry about this. I don't know what is going on. I'm gonna have to film in, I guess, other locations. Okay, I'm back. I think I'm back now, right? So anyway, if this messes up, can you hear me again? If this messes up, I apologize, and I will just regroup tomorrow in a better location. All right. So let's just continue. Let's just continue with reading this. Let's see if we can go step by step, minute by minute. Okay, so there's a Reuters article. We'll get to. Let's just remember whatever you remember. If we don't last more than 1 minute, it's a Reuters article. New Mexico, New York State Police work to get Baldwin phone. The man is. Let's just how was your day? Let's just work with baby steps. How was your day? Was your day good? Yvette, thank you so very much again. Everybody here, thank you. Yvette, someone is to blame, but HE knows. I only pulled the internet cord out. I didn't do anything else. Yvette, thank you. My God. My God. I don't know what is going on. It might be the Kremlin. I think the Kremlin, Yvette, is after this live stream. And maybe it's I don't know. But thank you so very, very much. I know somebody's to blame, but it isn't me. It is me. I'm sorry. All right. So I'm going to look at this little cube here, and as long as it stays green, I'm happy. Okay? But if it's not green, I'm not happy. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me all right? That's the main thing. Can you hear me? Okay? Because you have to understand, I grew up with Pong. Remember Pong? So my like sense of technology is about maybe 30 years behind, 30 to 40 years behind everybody. But I, like Yvette said, I know that it's there's somebody here that is at fault. I know it's not me. But anyway, Liza, hello to my super chat. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. So let's see if we can do this longer than 2 minutes, okay? Just to know that I care about you, and if anything should happen to this live stream, I'll be back tomorrow, and I apologize. But let's start again, okay? Let's start again. Reuters, okay? Baby steps. Reuters. Eric and Luke, thank you. Eric, thank you. I feel like I'm like stuck in like some kind of Tron game and I'm trying to get out. And anyway, New Mexico, New York police work to get Baldwin phone. New Mexico authorities on Thursday. What did they do? Any guess? Okay. New Mexico authorities on Thursday said they were working, and God bless the New Mexico authorities. I'm sure they're doing an amazing job. And it can't be easy trying to pin, Alec Baldwin down to giving his phone and all of that. So New Mexico authorities on Thursday said they were working with police in New York State to obtain material from actor Alec Baldwin's cell phone relating to a probe into the tragedy where the cinematographer lost her life. The Santa Fe Sheriff's Office and New Mexico First Judicial District Attorney's Office are actively working with the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, New York, and Baldwin's lawyers to get any material on the phone pertaining to their investigation, according to a press release. Does anybody know what that means? Snumless Bench, hello! Love you, bro. Thank you so very much. Snumless Bench, thank you. Thank you so very, very much. I appreciate it. By the way, to the viewers who have been here, Yvette, I can't thank you enough. Snumglass Bench, everybody here, thank you. You've been absolutely wonderful. The fact that I have any viewers with me, through this whole thing, with like 1 hour working on OBS and the internet, who knows what's going on? The Kremlin, who knows? Who knows? Honestly, who knows? So I have a question for everybody here. So if you've lasted this long, give me your thoughts below in the chat. Doesn't have to be super chat, but if it is, great. But if it's in the chat, I want to know. The Santa Fe Sheriff's Office and New Mexico First Judicial District Attorney's Office are actively working with the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, New York. Why is New York involved? I would love to know why New York is involved for potentially a suspect. He is essentially a suspect here. Is he not a suspect? Am I wrong on this? The man pulled the hammer and almost certainly pulled the trigger. Actually, he did, of the firearm, unless it was modified in some manner. And she was 18 inches from him. She lost her life because of his reckless behavior. He didn't check the firearm. The armor was not in the church. The assistant director gave him the Colt 45. There was a protest of camera crew. He had been acquainted, or he knew, he actually emailed the armorer for the specific firearm. So I don't know how he thinks he can get away with not explaining, get away with simply saying, well, I pulled the hammer back. It makes no sense at all. Conrad, always a blast. H.A. Happy New Year, by the way. More fun in the chat than a demo. That's right. We have a great chat here. It's really fun and it's awesome. And the fact that you guys have waited this long, it's just so amazing. Okay, so Anthony, you need a separate warrant to the service provider. Okay, so that's probably what's going on. I don't know why the warrant So the service provider would have to go through New York, though. I don't know why the warrant would have to go through New York. Maybe the service was in New York, obviously, so maybe that's why. But that is true. Tim Pool just got swatted. Horrible. I mean, like, this is the thing. Tim Pool is. I don't say this like. I don't say this because I'm trying to embrace anyone's rear end, because I'm not. I consider him a national treasure, and I know that might sound like a bit too much, but there aren't many journalists who cover everything in the most objective manner possible. The fact that he is pointing out the absolute insanity of mainstream is in and of itself an objective manner of, conducting himself and journalism. If you had Walter Cronkite or Peter Jennings or Dan Rather's, that's a different story. Or if you have Peter Jennings, David Brinkley, Sam Donaldson, you had these people, if they came back and they saw what's taking place in this country today, I mean, it's Orwellian. And here you have Tim Pool, who he started off on the left. I started off on the left. Why are so many people with critical thinking skills starting off on the left and saying, wait a second, this is bizarre. This is a cult. This is not right. You have, and they don't even believe, like, Democrats do not believe their own, what they claim to believe, their ideals, their principles, their ideology, they don't even believe. What happened to Medicare for all? Why are fossil fuels at all-time highs? They think that, okay, they believe that it's an existential issue, climate change, which I think it is long-term, but long-term could be hundreds of years from now. But their policies caused record highs in fossil fuels. Fact. Coal, oil, natural gas are all at record highs. And, I mean, you just look at society and the way things are being, like, you have a non-stop emphasis in the past 2-3 years on dividing the country based on political differences. And it's not the Trump supporter, it's not the independent, it's not the progressive or liberal or a person like Tim Pool, who actually is more liberal than he is conservative. It's the vote blue no matter who person, and everyone to the left of that person who votes blue no matter who. That's the issue. Guns Water, thank you. So the fact that he got swatted is horrendous, because here you have a voice who speaks to millions of people a week. Millions of people. Okay? He literally competes with CNN and MSNBC. And he offers a viewpoint of somebody who was on the left his whole life, who has had enough of the madness. I mean, I just think that, and Brandon Tatum is fantastic also. I just think that what he said is they are going to try to silence and suppress. They're going to try to silence, suppress. They're going to try to increase the level of vitriol or madness, the hyperbole. Everything is going to be an existential crisis, except when, AOC wants to relax in South Florida. Of course, she doesn't want to relax in New York, God forbid. So you go to a red state. But you look at Alec Baldwin, it's like, if he doesn't get charged with a crime, he'll be the Harry Houdini of criminal behavior in Hollywood. The man is almost certainly covering up, let's say it was a complete accident. He's almost certainly covering up elements of the tragedy. I mean, and that is not like a stretch. He's almost certainly covering up elements of the tragedy. If New York has to go ahead and help out law enforcement in New Mexico. Maybe it's because, the service provider in New York, maybe they have to work. But see, why would the police get involved? That makes no sense. I don't understand why the New York police would have to get involved. What do the New York police have to do? The statement came 3 weeks after the sheriff's office received a search warrant to seize Baldwin's Apple iPhone to examine text messages, emails, other information. Why would New York police have to get involved? That doesn't really make too much sense. I like what doesn't make sense to me is here you have somebody who ended another human being's life in a very tragic and horrifying, intimate manner. A very, very horrifying manner. He was only less than 2 feet away, maybe a foot away. He's handed a firearm without checking the firearm. Nicolas Cage is 100% right. George Clooney was right. Everybody knows that this man is... He's in the Michael Avenatti, Andrew Cuomo, Jussie Smollett initial public relations phase. The initial public relations phase. Snubglass Bench, please set up a Discord or Element server to stay in touch with us, bro. Thank you, Snubglass Bench. Thank you so very, very much. I have to look into that. I need to branch out. I do need to branch out, and I need to start embracing technology. As you can see, my embrace of technology is similar to Alec Baldwin embracing a fan, but or embracing paparazzi. But thank you so very, very much. Snubglass Bench, thank you so very, very much. How do you go ahead, end someone's life? How do you end someone's life with a firearm when you went after, like Alec Baldwin went after police and disparaged police officers when they were in the line of duty, and there was a tragedy or an accident or something that shouldn't have happened, and he went and he would say things like, "Oh, how do you think it must feel to accidentally end someone's life?" I mean, this is like weird karma. It's like weird, bizarre karma, and it always happens. This is what happens when you try to take down somebody. When your life is predicated upon one political side or taking down Trump. I like President Trump very much. If Tulsi Gabbard ran against Marco Rubio, I would want Tulsi Gabbard to win. 100%. I would never vote for Marco Rubio, ever. I would never vote for Liz Cheney, ever. I would never vote for Adam Kinzinger. So, Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, I'd vote for her. I'm not bound by allegiance to political party. I want a foreign policy that isn't endless. I don't want endless wars, which is what the establishment or Democrats or Lincoln Project Republicans love. I don't want draconian policies that tank the economy. I mean, we're going to look back at this time period. We're going to have a devastating stock market crash, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to look back at this time period, and we're going to say, how do we let this take place? Perimeter, thank you so very much. Perimeter. Thank you, Perimeter. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Freedom Autopsy Report. HA, the Democratic Party of Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, FDR no longer exist. Today, the Democratic Party is the party of Marx, Lenin, and I agree with you. JG, my man. JG, little Mark. Little Mark. JG, thank you so very much. Always a pleasure, JG. Freedom Autopsy Report. I can't thank you enough. And yeah, it's true. But here's the thing. This is the thing. you have communists or socialists. You have people who consider themselves socialists, but they vote Democrat. But there's a socialist political party and there's the Green Party. Why would you not vote Green if you're a socialist? It makes no sense. First of all, socialism doesn't work. It's never worked. There's never been an example of it working ever, ever. Communism is immoral, completely immoral. In many ways, socialism is immoral as well. And actually, pretty much in every way. And so communism and socialism have never worked ever. This is a fact. Where they exist in today's world, you have poverty. The poverty rates are much higher, exponentially higher. Inflation, crime, poverty, wealth inequality. These are all like, you would think that Democrats or socialists in our country wouldn't want wealth inequality. The greatest wealth inequality exists in socialist countries. Most are poor, and then of course there's a top of the hierarchy that amasses all the wealth. There is no middle class. The middle class in a socialist country is generally would be considered quite impoverished in our country or in capitalist countries. So, Freedom Autopsy Report, you're right. Does that mean and the way they get out of that reality is they say, well, we have Social Security. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to have government involvement. That doesn't mean you live in a socialist country. Okay? You have government services in a capitalist society. So that doesn't make you socialist. It just the reality of having a social safety net, which is fine. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean you give all the decision making and allow government to control every aspect of a person's life. Notice that when it's certain topics, Democrats say, no, government can't impose. But when it's other topics, oh my God, you see the government is protecting the people. So it's interesting. They're hypocrites when it comes to that. But you have Alec Baldwin, who, and this is the problem with media today. This is why Tim Pool is so great, and there are other great people, and I try my best. I'm not as adventurous as others when it comes to the algorithm, but I do try my best and try to be as amusing as possible. But I don't have, people who watch this channel do not have a political side generally that they're wedded to. They don't have, most of the people, if it was Liz Cheney as the Republican, close your eyes for a second and imagine Liz Cheney as the Republican nominee. So we have 150 people on this chat. I would venture to say 75, 80 of the 150 would never vote for Liz Cheney as a Republican nominee, would probably just sit it out. That's the difference between my live streams or my viewers or my comment section and a vote blue no matter who crowd. They will vote for anyone. If Marco Rubio became a Democrat and was the Democratic nominee, they'd vote for him. If Liz Cheney, if George W. Bush came back, well, he couldn't, but exactly, you wouldn't vote for Liz Cheney because you're not vote red no matter who. They're vote blue. It's interesting because you have the Twitch progressive, pundits, and you have these far left provocative kind of shock jocks. They're just they try to outdo themselves in the most absurd hyperbolic claims about the country. They try to opine and pontificate on morality. These are people in their late 20s, early 30s. And they're socialist or far left or some kind of subsection of socialism or whatever, and they're always voting Democrat. You ever notice they're always voting Democrat? They just always vote Democrat. So what's the point? What's the point of having any viewpoint on the left? If you are to the left of Joe Biden, what is the point of wanting Medicare for all or issues pertaining to justice, in society? You're not going to get any of those addressed. You will get infrastructure. You will get infrastructure, and you won't even get student loans. You certainly won't get Medicare for all. I'm going to vote for Eric H526 for president. Absolutely. But it's like, you're not going to end the filibuster. This is all the things they want. They want to pack the courts. That wasn't ever going to happen. And the filibuster, that was never going to happen. Medicare for all, that was never going to happen. Student loan debt, just erasing all of that, that was never going to happen. And Democrats never even got close to any of these things. They wanted to pack the courts like a bunch of insane imbeciles. So when Republicans were in power, then they could just add more justices. And then Democrats would add more. You'd have like 5,761 justices, and then you would be 763 justices if Republicans took over. Like their ideas are just like, they're like petulant, completely irrational ideas. They're the ones who, like Harry Reid, he's the one who ended the 60-vote majority to vote for the Supreme Court nominee. He's the one who did that. And what happened? President Trump won, and then it only took 50 votes, and they got, and he nominated 3 Supreme Court justices. Pretty good. Pretty good. So, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, you gotta, I mean, as a president, the Republican Party, that the reason that I would have no allegiance to any political party, look what the Republicans did to Trump and look what the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders. It's pretty unbelievable. They set up Trump with a fabricated hoax that he worked with Russia. You'd have to be a complete imbecile to believe that he worked with the Kremlin. This was like the stupidest thing on the planet. And you had so many people believing it. And from day one, I said it was complete and utter nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. And then you had a fair and neutral primary. They cheated Bernie Sanders not only in 2016, but also in 2020. And if you don't like the thing with them is that if you don't adhere to every one of their absurd narratives, you're like a heretic. You're a big problem. You're a horrible person. You're like this horrible human being if you don't adhere to everything that they say. Every stupid thing they say. Like if you're on the left, like being on the left every single day is like, it's like the worst. Let me tell you, you don't want to be ever in one of those like little tribes or fiefdoms or subcultures on the left, because every day it's, well, your Medicare for all plan isn't as good as my Medicare for all plan. No, you're a Trump supporter. And what are you talking? You're a Trump supporter. No, you are. No, you are. No, you are. It's always, you're never good enough. And God forbid you actually ask questions or offer like just actually reasoned critique. Oh, you're siding with Republicans. You're siding with Republicans. That's the thing. They try to say Trump is a cult of personality. He's the opposite. People like Trump because he doesn't care about political parties. The blind allegiance is people like Alec Baldwin, who don't believe, you think that he's such a big proponent of unions? The camera crew literally walked off the set of Rust. And their union was having a big issue. I think it was their union or another union was having a big issue. And so, of course, he does the obligatory, I support your union. He doesn't care. Why would he go ahead and film and then we know it's recorded, almost certainly. But why would he go ahead and continue filming? Why would he go ahead and continue filming? Why would he go ahead and continue filming when camera crew walked off the set because of safety protest? El Microwave! Well said, Mr. Goodman. I greatly respect and appreciate you standing strong for your beliefs and not allowing your mind to be molded by these psychopaths that call themselves leaders. Thank you, El Microwave. Thank you so very, very much. I greatly appreciate that. You know, El Microwave, thank you. Great name, by the way. El Microwave, thank you so very much. And when Bernie Sanders was cheated, even before then, I realized the Democratic Party, like political parties, were worthless and were just, groupthink and a racket. Tammany Hall, just do a little bit of, anybody can do a little bit of. The Democrat, the liberal pundits on YouTube, if you said, well, you know what, there's something called Tammany Hall, they wouldn't know what it is. They wouldn't know anything about the history of their own political party. But it's honest graft. That's what it is, honest graft. It's a money-making endeavor. That's why they can get caught. You have one California congressman literally caught in a romantic relationship with a foreign operative. You think that the intel agencies are going to go after a Democrat now? No. They've already sold their soul to the Democratic parties. The intel agencies, what they do is they go after, in every way possible, a Trump Republican. If it's Richard Burr with stock trades, well, suddenly, you're not going to hear about that because he played ball and he went after Trump. That's the way politics works in our country. El Microwave, thank you. They really are. You know what? These people are maniacs. And what they did 2 years ago to shut down economic activity was one of the most immoral things that's ever happened in our country. Under the guise of keeping people safe, under the guise of saving lives, they ruined the economic lives of millions. We now have labor shortages, broken global supply chain. We have all of these problems. And it's all because of the Pandora's box that was opened up by morally superior liberal Democrats who wanted to push Trump out of office. The Alec Baldwins of the world. Lena S., thank you. Thank you, Lena. Thank you. El Microwave, thank you so much. But I don't get this. Santa Fe Sheriff's Office, and New Mexico First Judicial District Attorney's Office are actively working with the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, New York, and Baldwin's lawyers to get any material on the phone pertaining to their investigation. But why would they? Why would Baldwin's lawyers even be a part of this? If you already had a search warrant, you go to Apple, or you go to the service provider. So maybe you need the New York police to get involved with the service provider that was giving him service in New York. I'm not exactly sure. But I understand why he would. I understand why he wouldn't want to just, give the sheriffs in Santa Fe, the information they want. He's very likely hiding emails or text messages to people, to the director, to the assistant director. I mean, what are the chances you think the director and Alec Baldwin? The director was injured by Alec Baldwin. What are the chances you think that they're trying their best to be on the same page? because the director was there directing the scene, and the assistant director should have waited for the armor. And Alec Baldwin he alluded to moments during the filming where Hannah Gutierrez Reed, the armor wouldn't be where she wouldn't be right there on the set if he was using a firearm. But he said like 99% of the time, something like that. So that's a huge issue. That's not the industry standard. He wasn't abiding by even industry standards. So he's falling back on there not being some kind of code or rule or regulation or guideline or law. So he can say, hey, look, it's not regulated. We can just use firearms and props and, blanks and dummy rounds, and it's not regulated. There's nothing that I had to do. But you know what? You had to go ahead and abide by a modicum of safety. You had to go ahead and at least abide by industry standards. And he's a producer. So it's not a matter of him not knowing it was loaded. Of course, very likely he didn't know it was loaded. Almost certainly. It's a matter of him ignoring basic safety protocols for money and for budget and time. If you know that an armorer needs to be with you at all times because you lack the knowledge of firearm safety, then why just simply allow the assistant director? And they didn't think about it. It was just a normal day. They didn't think about it. And, it was a paycheck for Alec Baldwin. He has bills to pay, probably spends more money every month than most people make in a year. And it's just a paycheck for him. And he was just going through the motions. He didn't care. And if anybody was inebriated, if anybody had any alcohol in their system, they should have done a breathalyzer or something. Like, they should have immediately found out if Alec Baldwin had any narcotics or any alcohol or anything like that. But, that's, who knows? Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Exactly. A normal day with the crew on strike. Well, there you go. That's true. Exactly. My whole thing is, if you knew as a producer that there was a protest of camera crew and then the cinematographer loses her life, think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. Think about the horrific, frightening sequence of events. The cinematographer, the most, I guess the head of all, the camera crew, the person who is leading the camera crew, loses her life after the camera crew protests. Okay? I'm not saying Alec Baldwin did this, but what immediately comes to mind is like retribution. Or some kind of warped. What would immediately come to mind, that I'm not saying that this happened, but you would think that, oh, okay, there was some kind of, there's some kind of bizarre, twisted, warped, insidious form of retribution or revenge or some kind of statement being made. I'm not saying that Alec Baldwin did this, because I don't think he did. But that's initially what you think. If the camera crew protests and the cinematographer loses her life immediately, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And, you know, but let's continue reading. The statement came 3 weeks after the sheriff's office received a search warrant to seize Baldwin's Apple iPhone to examine text messages, emails, and other information stored to the device. So I'll probably be doing another segment, maybe tomorrow, on why they might need the New York police. I'm thinking maybe you would need the New York police to get um, to get for the warrant. So, or for the information. It's interesting that it's such a big deal now getting that information on his cell phone. But also, like, it wouldn't just be Alec Baldwin. It would be the director, the assistant director. And this isn't rocket science. Who's the man calling? His attorney. You couldn't get the attorney's records, so the assistant director is part of it. He's part of the investigation, I'm assuming. I don't know why they wouldn't get the director and the assistant director's cell phones also. Because these are the people who would be communicating with Alec Baldwin on a daily basis, almost certainly. So you could find out, like, you could find out who he's talking to just by, getting the records of the people that he almost certainly is in contact with. But again, I'm just thinking out loud here. So, Supreme Court rules police need a search warrant to track your iPhone. So they got a search warrant. All right, let's see here. It's interesting. I'm going to do more research on why the New York Police Department would be working alongside the New Mexico Police Department. It makes sense because Baldwin is from New York. He lives, primarily there. So, I mean, it makes sense. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. It's a little bit bizarre. If they got the search warrant 3 weeks ago, why would they now need Santa Fe office and New Mexico First Judicial District Attorney's Office are actively working. So the DA and the sheriff are actively working with the Sheriff's Department in New York, Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, and his lawyers to get any material. What does that even mean? To get any material on the phone pertaining to their investigation. But weren't they getting all the material they needed 3 weeks ago? Apparently not. So, apparently not. JG, hello. The statement came 3 weeks after the sheriff's office revealed search warrant to seize Baldwin's iPhone to examine text messages, emails, and other information. So the lawyer is probably saying, well, this phone is a New York phone, so you're going to have to go through the laws of the state of New York, which are different perhaps from the laws, definitely, I'm sure, in certain ways from New Mexico. And maybe that's why. Maybe the New York police are going to obtain a search warrant. Maybe he'll have 2 search warrants, but it'll definitely, he knows somebody's at fault, but it won't be him. This man has been arrested twice, kicked off of an airplane. He might get a second search warrant for information on the phone. And if they're looking at the phone, maybe they're already like, it's interesting because the phone is about a cover-up. It would only be, well, or what led up to, if there's anything nefarious leading up to the tragedy. So I'm not even thinking in terms of a nefarious type of, I'm not even thinking of anything premeditated, or I'm still in accident. It's an accident, so. If it's an accident, which I believe it is, in the manner that a drunk driver, accidentally ends someone's life, if it's an accident, then you're looking, then they would be looking at text messages and emails. They would be looking at text messages and emails immediately after the tragedy. So, to see if he tried to cover his tracks or coordinate with people. So. Conrad, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I am going to call it an evening, and I apologize for the delay. I think I kind of know now what happened, and I do appreciate everyone here. Yvette, thank you so very, very much for waiting for so long, and everybody here, thank you. And thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful evening. Eliza, thank you. Everybody here, Eric, Luke, JG, everybody here. L Microwave, Freedom Autopsy, Snumglass Bench, thank you, everybody here. Conrad, thank you. I will be back tomorrow, of course. I'll probably start off with a live stream. So the live stream will probably be about, maybe 2:00 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. I didn't do a segment on the stock market crash channel today. I will tomorrow, of course. And thanks again, everybody. I can't thank you enough, and I apologize for this, this delay earlier on. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.